Hello, great to have your company wherever you're watching right around Australia, and welcome to the program that brings you the very best in 4, 3 and 2-wheel motorsport action. Tonight I'm standing at the Pines Raceway in beautiful Griffith for the 4th round of Australia's richest motorcycle series, the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters. This series is unique because many of the racetracks are utilising indoor venues like we saw last time at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. Tonight here at Griffith we've got a very fast, wide open racetrack that certainly should provide high speed and plenty of entertaining thrills. The series leader after 3 rounds is the Honda mounted Glenn Bell. A short while ago I spoke to the man.
No, I really want to do well here and try to extend my points lead. The Honda's running very well, and I'm looking forward to a good night.
I was saying during the program introduction, one of the very unique things about this series is the fact that many venues are indoors. Obviously tonight here at Griffith is a fairly fast outdoor circuit. What do you prefer?
I really prefer these events because they're a really nice flowing track, big jumps, and you can really accelerate hard into the jumps out here. So, you know, you're up into the higher gears with a bit more speed. It's very spectacular.
Do you find that your riding style changes much, this type of track versus an indoor venue?
Yeah, it does. You know, you have to be very precise on an indoor track, where on the outdoor track you can just let it have its head a little bit more, but you still have to be fairly precise but not so critical.
Well, certainly a man that is well and truly on a roll at the moment is Peter Jackson Racing Yamaha rider young Lee Hogan. Sensational form in recent weeks. You've won the last 3 Supercross events in succession.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to win the last 3 with some heavy competition. Glenn's finished second in all 3. So yeah, I'm really happy.
The roller coaster ride started for you at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. With round 2 you then won in Adelaide and followed up with a fine win at Eastern Creek with the Supercross Masters prior to the Grand Prix there.
Yeah, that's correct. I had a wire-to-wire win at Brisbane. I whole shot the main and got a little bit of a gap and kept that like 3 or 4 second gap for the whole main, which was a really comfortable, easy kind of a race. It wasn't quite so easy at Eastern Creek. I had to come from behind, had to pass my teammate Ben Paris about halfway through the race, and you know, it was a really close race. It ended up Glenn finished like right behind me, and that's the same as with Adelaide. I had to come from like 10th place at Adelaide, come right through the pack. Glenn had the lead, come unstuck with a lap rider, and we ended up having a real good battle. He got a bit desperate on the last lap and tried to take me out, and we both crashed. It was really exciting stuff. I was lucky enough to get back up a little bit quicker than him and finish in the lead. So
that obviously is very good for a rider's confidence. You know that you can win wire to wire, but the fact that you can win successive Supercross races coming from behind must be good for your confidence.
Yeah, well, the thing that I'm really happy about is the last 2 races I've won, and I didn't think I was the fastest. I didn't feel like good on the track in the last 2 races, but I was lucky enough to come through for the win. Now here, you know, tonight, I'm feeling really good out there in practice, and I'm just hoping I'm going to be able to put it all together. Like I've got like fastest lap times by 2 seconds out there, so I haven't ridden this fast in quite some time. I'm just hoping it all stays together.
Do you think there's a burnout period for Supercross riders that stick to such a busy agenda like yourself?
It's tough, it really is. You know, I had 2 weekends off last year, and you know, I was never at home, but you know, I got to make the living now while I can, because the lifespan of the sport is very short, and I need to make the money now so that maybe I can live off it the rest of my life. And you know, I don't want a 9-to-5 job, so I want to, you know, stay with the racing.
Are you impressed with the way Supercross is going ahead in this country, Australia?
Yeah, it's definitely picked up a lot. I haven't ridden any outdoor Supercrosses here except for last weekend, and I'm real impressed with the way they've done it. And the indoor events are basically the same as home, and they're doing a real good job with the outdoor events. They do good promotional work, and they seem to be getting a fair crowd.
In terms of tonight, the Griffith Raceway, obviously you haven't raced here before, as you've said. Looking at it and practicing on it this afternoon, how do you think you'll go?
It's, you know, I'm riding a Yamaha this week, and I ride Suzuki's at home, and it's a little bit different. I'm having a hard time getting used to them. It's just the way you hold on and sit on the bike and things. My arms are pumping up a little bit, so I know I can go as fast as all those guys out there. It's just harder for me to go 20 laps as fast, you know. So hopefully the riding this week on the bike from last week in Adelaide will, you know, hopefully bring me on top.
Will we see you back in Australia contesting other Peter Jackson Supercross rounds this year?
I sure hope to come back. Like I said, I really enjoy the sport as a whole, not only going out and try to win races, but to you know, please my fans and the spectators, and do the promotional work, and everything in the whole I really enjoy. And a lot of the riders have to realize that the sport isn't just going out and winning. It's you know, you have to do a lot more than that if you want to get on top.
Last question, can you win here tonight?
Yes, I know I can win here tonight. You know, you got to be confident, and I definitely feel I can win. There's a little bit of luck involved. You have to get a good start to win an event like this, and I'm definitely wanting to win. I've been here a bunch of times and haven't won yet, and I'm hungrier than ever.
As we welcome this huge crowd here at the Pines Raceway to round number 4 of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters. I guess, need I say, we'd like to thank Peter Jackson for making all this happen in conjunction with Philip Christensen and Spokes Promotions. We'll forget about those guys for the time, because I tell you what, Griffith, we are ready to go racing in heat number 1. 4 laps is the journey. Let's rock and roll out of the gate. Into the first right-hander, it's Glenn Bell on the Honda bike number 4 with the race lead. Lee Hogan, Troy Doran, Britton and Ashkenazi are up there. Britton is the race leader, should I say. Bike number 4 did a great job, got out of the gate like a bullet out of the gun. The boys are going to go to the air. Look at them, a stream of 250 cubic centimetre motorcycles strutting their stuff here at the Pines Raceway. Some of the boys have been here before, some haven't. I tell you what, they love it here. Oh, up in the air we go. It's air time for the boys. Dale Britton is the race leader. Ashkenazi is in second. Cameron Taylor is in third for Peter Jackson Racing. Lee Hogan is hot to trot in fourth. Troy Doran way back in the field. Had a lot of mechanical problems during practice earlier on today and pre-qualifying. Race leader, and hasn't he been going like a house on fire in recent weeks? The mushroom, they call him. His name is Dale Britton. The stutter jumps, won't we see some action over those doozies a little bit later on? Troy Doran didn't get the start he wanted. He's making his way through the pack, and what a hungry pack it is at the moment. The folks down there in the corner where the boys are getting some air, they'll be enjoying the action aplenty down there as the night goes on. The race leader remains Dale Britton at second time down the main straightaway. Look at the boys fly. Bike number 20 has moved up into position number 4. K&J Radiators, his name, Joel Elliott. Bike number 22, Stuart Bennett, is also in there. Cameron Taylor has dropped back a few places. Oh, Doran is all over the shop. Look at this for the lead. It's Britton. As one goes down over the tabletop, that's David Sunny Day. But Britton, the charge of the fastest coming. And look at Hogan on the outside. Hogan on the Yamaha moves up into position number 2. Dale Britton, Lee Hogan. Oh, look at this, they're 2 abreast. And Hogan on the Yamaha seems to have bettered the best from the west. Britton charges back on the inside, doesn't quite get the apex to the corner. He in fact would have lied. Oh, Dale Britton has moved back to second. Ashkenazi is in third. We have a new race leader coming down over the Peter Jackson tabletop this time around. His name is Lee Hogan. Dale Britton is in second. In third place is Ashkenazi. In fourth is Joel Elliott. In fifth place on the track bike 22, Stuart Bennett. Followed by Cameron Taylor on bike 18, Tommy Skeenan, and Troy Doran is rounding out the best of the top. Lee Hogan as cool and cocky as they come. Really doing well out front. As John Cobby announced earlier in the night, Lee Hogan has won his past 3 Supercross events. Boondall in Brisbane, that was round number 2 of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters. He won at Eastern Creek as a part of the Eastern Creek Grand Prix weekend as the last lap board goes out, and a victory in only last week. Lee Hogan high flying, really looking the goods in heat number 1. Ashkenazi in second, Britton in third. In fourth place remains Joel Elliott. I think the boys have given Lee Hogan a little bit too much breathing space, and doesn't Hogan take advantage of it? Really looking smooth out there on the track. The race leader goes past the start-finish line for the very final time. Over the studded jumps he goes. Oh, a little bit out of shape. Hogan's off the machine. Lee Hogan with a 50-metre lead has bitten the dust. The first man, the first leader to go soil sampling of the night here at the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters. Hogan relegated back to position number 4 on the circuit. The race leader now is the current 125, 250 and 500cc Australian motocross champion, 2019, should I say, year-old Kim Ashkenazi. They call him Kamikaze. You'll certainly see why. Put your hands together, folks. The first win of the night to Kamikaze Ashkenazi. Glenn Bell will take second.
Great win by Kim Ashkenazi. We now move along to heat number 2, sponsored by DBH Transport. Supercross Masters, 4 laps the journey here at the Pines Raceway in Griffith. Craig Dack now joins me as special co-commentator. One of your young riders involved here, Ben Parise. Craig.
Yeah, he's been doing very well lately. He needs to get a good start in this race to stay up there. It's a very hot night tonight, and I think the riders need to really conserve their energy during the heat races to try and, give it their most in the final.
A big track here. It's certainly a far cry from the indoor venues as we now see the field embark on their 4-lap journey, and Mike Jones moving very quickly towards the front. In fact, got held up a little bit there and bumped back through the field. Yeah,
that's right. It looks like Philip Sargent who's hit the lead. He's very good at these Supercross style of races. His motocross riding hasn't been that good over the years, but he seems to really come out for these Supercross races. I think that's Jones just snuck up the inside there, so that makes Yamaha 1 and 2.
Yes, it's Mike Jones, the 1989 World FIM Supercross champion, and always has a lot of success in the heat races in Australia. Also has a lot of success in the expression session, which you'll see later on the program. But as far as his main event successes have been concerned, they've been few and far between. Yeah,
he hasn't had much success. I think it's just a matter of time before he puts one together, and that looks like, yep, that's Bell sneaking up the inside of Sargent there. And he's trying very, very hard. Glenn Bell always does well in the heat races, and it is very important to do well in the heat races because you'll finish in the heat race. The higher up you can finish, the better position you have in the next race.
As we see Mike Jones, the American, leading this event, they're at about the halfway distance now. Glenn Bell is certainly starting to close. I wouldn't say rapidly, but nonetheless starting to close as now Mike Jones works his way back onto the main straight and back over the big Peter Jackson tabletop.
Yeah, and Ben Parise back and forth there. He needs to get up a little bit higher than that to try and get himself a better start position for the next race. Mike Jones, the first time in Australia that he's ridden a Yamaha, and he tested it just the other day, and he's very, very happy with it. He said the bike handles very good, and the low-down power, which is a lot different than the Suzuki, which he usually rides, is to his liking, and I think that's showing now in this race.
Once again, the handlebar heroes up the main straight here at the Pines Raceway before a capacity crowd, and there's 1 or 2 moths around as well, as that picture would indicate. Mike Jones now seriously under siege from a flying Glenn Bell. The fellow now residing in Queensland, classified as a veteran of motocross and supercross at 30 years of age, but he's showing plenty of courage here.
Yeah, he can still do it, that's for sure. He puts a lot of effort into his training, and his physical aspect of the sport is very, very important, especially on a night like this tonight where it's very, very hot. The lap times are up around a minute, so the final's got to be around a 20-minute final. So, they need all the conditioning they can get, and that's something that Glenn Bell's always worked hard with, and I think that's one of his stronger points.
A pretty good racetrack for mine. It's a circuit that does really provide the riders with a bit of everything. There's some exceptionally fast parts of the racetrack and a good mixture of jumps as Mike Jones once again heads up the main straight. He's done a fantastic job in this one. Glenn Bell still in second spot. Not far to go now in this one.
No, not far at all. It's still a long way to go as far as racing's concerned because, as you can see right there, Glenn Bell has moved right up on Jones, and they're just starting to catch up now to the slower riders, the lap riders in the race. And the good thing about this track, it's so wide, it's probably 3 to 4 or 5 metres wide, so it gives them a lot of areas to pass. You see Bell there just swapping lines inside, outside, just to trying to get past, and he's right in a position now to make a pass.
He certainly is. Mike Jones would possibly be aware of the fact that Glenn Bell is breathing down his neck. Would he hear him?
He would, he certainly would, because a lot of times when you're in the air, the other rider is still accelerating to take off from the jump, so when you're in the air, it's quite peaceful and it's a pleasant feeling. You can hear the crowd, and you can probably hear those moths hitting your helmet as you fly through the air.
How could it be a pleasant feeling being 10 metres in the sky?
It's funny to say it is. It's quite nice. If you get everything right in this sport and get your timing right, which is very important in Supercross, it's all just momentum and it's just It's quite soft landings. If you get it wrong though, it can hurt and it's quite difficult to ride.
Graham Stewart has now shown the last lap board. Mike Jones still under heavy pressure from Glenn Bell. Bell accelerates, they go over the jump there side by side. Jones and Glenn Bell, two of the best in the world. Mike Jones still has the upper hand at the moment.
And he won't give in easy, Jones. He's a very, very aggressive rider. He's, as you said earlier, he hasn't had that much success as far as winning any finals here in Australia, but he's always very, very hard to pass.
Whoa!
He'll be talking squeaky after that one.
He certainly will be. He'll have a quiet night. Mike Jones now with Glenn Bell starting to move ever so closer. Craig, I would have thought that Glenn Bell would have seized that opportunity when Mike Jones had his legs dragging on the ground.
That's right. I think he was just a little bit too far back and really couldn't capitalise on that mistake that Jones made. But nevertheless, he's progressed through to the next heat race, which is also very important.
Mike Jones now approaching the checkered flag, and it's been a super ride. He's had a couple of difficulties. Graham Stewart proudly shows the checkered flag, and Mike Jones defeats a fast-flying Glenn Bell. Yes, a great race as we now approach event number 3, sponsored by Ken Cheers AMP Junior. 80cc machines involved here, and 4 laps once again the journey. Craig Dack, one of the most sensational young motorcycling talents in the world, is involved in this event. Craig Anderson aboard machine number 63, and they're gone.
Yeah, Craig Anderson pulls a whole shot there, and he's quite a good rider. He's a young rider that Yamaha's are going to foster over the next few years and try and bring him up through the taller ranks of racing, and hopefully he can be like a future investment for Yamaha.
Yes, Craig Anderson, that's him, your race leader, machine number 63, doing it fairly comfortably, almost toying with the opposition here at Griffith, as we watch the stragglers now moving their way through onto the racetrack. And in terms of Anderson, he actually was runner-up in a fairly big world event recently.
Yeah, in the US, he finished second in the World Championship there, which is a really, really good result for a kid that's had relatively no international experience, and he's actually been challenged quite
by Mark Hardman, moving up on the inside. Yamaha versus Yamaha, and they run almost side by side. No place for the faint-hearted, and both riders demonstrating a degree of intestinal fortitude, Craig Dack.
They certainly are. I mean, what these kids can do on a bike, these kids are still at school and still got their grey uniform on, and they're out here on the weekend doing this sort of stuff on a motorcycle. It's quite impressive, and the things they do to the bikes now to keep them in one piece because they ride them so hard is quite incredible.
Obviously, this man in second spot, Mark Hardman, has got what it takes to get the job done. Plenty aggressive and plenty tough as we watch our race leader, Craig Anderson, in rather spectacular fashion getting over the jumps here at Griffith. It must be a fairly physical racetrack, this one, Craig.
It is. There's a lot of lifting and pulling on the bike. You've got to clear those obstacles. There's certain distances that you must clear because if you come up short, it's quite a hard landing. And for one reason, you don't want to break the bike or you don't want to wear yourself out. And it just messes up your momentum around the track. You've got to keep flowing all the way around the track and land on the downside of these jumps, just like Craig is now, and gives him good flow onto the next race. But as I said, he's not hanging around. He's trying quite hard in this race, and it's probably because of that earlier challenge.
Yeah, sure. If anything, he's stepped up a gear. Hardman is still in second spot, but he's certainly dropping off the pace somewhat. And an interesting thing to note here, irrespective of where the riders finish in this event, they all move through to event number 15. So Craig Anderson, a clear-cut race leader. In fact, he is stretching that lead. There's a fair bit of Griffith between him and his nearest rival.
Well, yeah, he's experienced now, and I guess that's why he's finished second in the World Championship in America, because he's got that experience now under his belt, and he's riding with a lot of confidence. And he's throwing that bike around. He's just pulled away from Hardman, has a comfortable, well, not so much of a comfortable lead. Hardman's certainly trying. He hasn't given up yet.
No, he won't give up either. He's a tenacious little rider. Craig, for all the parents watching around Australia and obviously the children, what is the ideal age to get started in this form of motor racing?
Well, it's very important, I guess, to get into riding a motorcycle or any sport that any kid wants to get into as early as they can. But I think it's also important to let these kids have their time as children and let them do the things they like to do and not get too serious in the beginning, because there's a long way to go with the sport, and if you put too much effort in too early, you can burn yourself out, because a lot of travelling involved, a lot of physical training. There is the aspect of injury, so you don't want to overdo it, but as young as you can, around 6 years of age, I would say.
A classic example of that burnout at an early age is of course, Jeff Leask.
That's right. Jeff did so much. He's probably, I would say, Australia's best motocross rider that's ever been. He's accomplished a lot. He left Australia back in 1986 and virtually he's been all around the world. He spent 2 years in America and the rest of his time in Europe chasing a world championship. And You know, a lot of people said he could have continued on to win a World Championship after being runner-up in, I think, 89.
That's correct, it was 89.
And he just said, I'm burnt out, I've had enough, I'm going home.
Okay, no real change in the order here. Still our race leader now is Craig Anderson. Not far to run in this one. In fact, you should find that Graham Stewart will be reaching for the last lap board very, very shortly indeed, as Anderson now negotiates the main straight for yet another occasion. You'll find dead set the last lap board will come out next time round. This has been a great performance by Anderson, already starting to lap slower riders.
Yes, I was just about to say the same thing. It just shows that his maturity on a bike, and he's made a couple of small mistakes out there, but you can see his technique on a bike. He really throws it around. And as far as a technical point of view as a rider, he has all the things that's needed to go fast on a motorcycle. He's got a very good balanced position on the bike. His elbows are above the line of the handlebars where they should be. And he just looks like he's having a great time.
Craig Anderson's connections will be smiling like carpet snakes in a fowl house right now. The guy is that far in front, it's not funny. This is what Supercross dreams are made of, folks. And you're watching it coming from the Pines Raceway in Griffith, round 4 of the all-important Peter Jackson Supercross Masters Series. That's the battle for second and third. Hardman still has the best of it. He's now under challenge from another rider. We're getting very close to the end of the event now. Craig Anderson is certainly in no danger of defeat. In fact, barring mechanical failure, he's going to win by a long, long way. And it's Craig Anderson, a comfortable checkered flag.
Daniel Lindsay is aboard bike 71. Tim Sim is aboard bike number 80. Daniel Barker on 113. 546 is Jamie Vick, and bike number 91, Stuart McCann. I'm interested to see Tim Sim. Out of the gate they go. Stuart Bennett on bike number 1. Stuart on the Kawasaki here tonight, and has been for the past 18 months. Is a former kid motocross champion. Rowan Smith was the guy to bite the dust. He was on bike number 53. I tell you what, there's a few guys down over the stutter jumps. Where's our mate Tim Sim? Mr. and Mrs. Sim probably here watching young fella Sim strut his stuff out there on this gigantic Supercross track here at the Pines Raceway. The lovely Riverina district. One guy from the country, not from the Riverina though, is Stuart Bennett, bike number 1. Stuart, a former kid motocross champion, really, with the world of two-wheel motorcycles at his feet in his early days. Gave the sport away. In fact, after winning the kid motocross title, and returned, I guess, 4 years ago on a Suzuki. Sure, it was a long, hard road back to where he is now, but Bennett has a whole heap of natural ability. That natural ability is shining out there at the moment. Changed mounts at the beginning of 1992. Oh, as another fella goes down over the stutter jumps. And the stutter jumps constructed by the Griffith Motorcycle Club will certainly claim many a victim tonight. That was bike 113, Daniel Barker. Daniel limping off the stutter jumps. Looks like he's okay. A little bit of a limp. Stuart Bennett is the race leader aboard bike number 1, and G. Bennett is doing this one very easily at the moment. Bike 47, Craig Tanner occupies position number 2 on the track. Jamie Hardman on bike number 6 is in third place. Bennett making his way towards the stutter jumps on the inside of the track. He just got the signal from the pit enclosure. There's a huge gap as young Jamie Hardman. Eyes off a spot, eyes off second spot. He's running in third. Right behind him is Peter Sigliano, a long-time campaigner on the Supercross Masters circuit. Though only, I think from memory, 17 years of age, young Sigliano. And, gee, it seems like he has been around for years. A ton of experience, little age, as Bennett hops up over that Peter Jackson, double camel jump, I guess you could call it, for lack of better words. And Bennett has got a huge lead over his nearest rival. That's bike number 6, Jamie Hardman. Craig Tanner is in position number 3 on the track. Bike number 35, Peter Sigliano. Followed by 66 and 16. 66 is Glenn Cromie. And 16 is Mike Reifman, doing it for Nova Honda, Fox, Shell and DID Racing. Of course, Reifman is aboard the Honda. The brand new Honda 1993 model is an absolute gem. At the moment, though, it's the Green Machine, the Kawasaki, dominating things. And from all indications, the Green Machine is the way to go. If you're looking at purchasing a 125, up over that double camel jump goes the race leader. Stuart Bennett has about 3/4 of a racing lap remaining, and barring any major mechanical mishaps, should really do this one easily. Second place, probably, I dare say the best part of 300, 400 metres behind is young Jamie Hardman on bike number 6. Bennett asserting his authority on heat number 1 of the 125s, proving he will be a man to be reckoned with come main event time a little bit later on in the night. Down the main straightaway, the checkered flag is at the ready. Put your hands together for bike number 1, Stewie Bennett. Oh, one-handed up over the double camel jump.
A very big crowd here in attendance watching round 4 of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters Series. We now move along to event 5. 4 laps sponsored by Coca-Cola, A, B and C grade in the 125cc category. The spectacular Joel Elliott from Curry in New South Wales involved here, and Craig Dack should be the man to beat.
Yeah, he should be. He's just got off a flight this afternoon. He's just come straight back from Rockhampton last night, where he raced a Supercross up there, and they hired a small plane and flew down here for this race. But Mark Kirkman moves in the lead. Obviously
the Easter eggs in Griffith must be better than the Easter eggs in Rockhampton. Kirkman doing a good job, the local boy, Craig.
Yeah, he'll definitely go hard tonight. You always go good when you've got the crowd behind you. He's got a few, I guess, points to prove and show his hometown people that he can actually beat these guys.
Joel Elliott was back in third, a very swift move there down on the inside of another rider. So now Joel Elliott has his sights firmly entrenched on the territory of our race leader Mark Kirkman, and Elliott certainly getting some space between he and the ground there.
Very, very smooth rider. His timing's absolutely perfect, and he's only one of the few riders tripling that section of the track there. And on a Supercross track, as I said earlier, you've got to land on the downside of these jumps to keep your momentum up. And as you can see with Elliott there, he's done that nearly on every jump so far. And he's just a lot smoother than Kirkman at this stage, but Kirkman is trying very, very hard.
That makes Elliott almost the perfect package. Very fast there across the starter jumps. In fact, approached them with a lot of commitment, now finds himself in the lead. I think Kirkman will be a little filthy on that, and certainly the large crowd here are right behind the local.
Well, he won't give in, that's for sure. This is very, very important to him, this race. It's only the first once every year it comes to Griffith, this race. And he'll try very hard to try and beat Elliott. Elliott's the top guy at this stage in the 125 class. He's been doing most of the winning, and he's the most impressive rider so far.
Yes, I guess that's apart from the meetings of Stephen Andrew decides to double up on a 125.
Yeah, well, Stephen's always a hard charger, and he's done that lately. Stephen's opted to ride the 125 this year. He probably finds that riding the 2 bikes on the night actually keeps his body warmer, and he can actually apply himself a lot better in the 250. One probably complements the other.
Joel Elliott now the race leader. He's cleared out. I guess he has a buffer now of about 4 metres to the second place man. Mark Kirkman on the racetrack doing it for McNabb Ampol, local sponsor down here, and obviously he is Honda mounted. There seems to be a lot of Kawasaki's here tonight.
Well, yes, Kawasaki's always very, very strong. Kawasaki has a very good mini bike, and they get on these brands early and they tend to stick with them. And Yamaha this year has actually brought out a new YZ80. It's totally different from the years gone by, and they're adopted the same attitude to try and get people across onto their brand at an early age and hopefully keep them there.
As we watch the race leader Joel Elliott storming up the main straight here once more, and certainly getting plenty of air there was the second place rider Mark Kirkman. There's no doubt about it, the battle between the motorcycle manufacturers in this form of motor racing is just as fierce as any form of motorsport.
Well, it's very important to the manufacturer. It's like any form of racing. You got the riders or the athletes racing each other, and someone's fallen down there. And also you've got the manufacturers who want to beat each other. It's very important as far as their sales go to have the credibility of that #1 plate.
You can see there Joel Elliott again very committed across the stutters, and obviously that is an aspect of Supercross and motocross that you obviously need to control and attack with aggression.
It's a very important part on the Supercross track because if you can nail those stutter bumps and get it right, you can pick up a second or two in just that one area there. And if you make a mistake, well, you can lose quite a bit of time. So it's a very important part of the track to really master and be aggressive with. What you got to do is commit yourself to that particular part of the track and focus on the end of the stutter bumps there and commit yourself to the next obstacle, whether it's a corner or another jump.
Craig, of all the young riders, and we're watching quite a few of those now contesting this event sponsored by Coca-Cola, of all the young guys going around, is there one particular that you see as a standout moving towards big things on the world scene?
I think the brightest prospect for the future that I've seen this year is a couple of guys. One is the guy we're looking at right now on screen, is Joel Elliott. He's very, very smooth. He's sort of come out of nowhere and he's got together with a good team this year. A former motocross rider, Mark Pace, is actually managing this team, and that's probably helping Joel quite a bit with his moves through the ranks. And also, of course, Craig Anderson, who we saw earlier, he's one of the new guys in town too.
I guess it's fair to say that Lee Hogan on the 250 Peter Jackson Racing Yamaha also can be included amongst that group of riders who is destined for very big things. Joel Elliott now not far to go, back up the main section once more. He's been able to drop Kirkman off, no doubt about that, and in fact, in no uncertain terms, Joel Elliott a clear-cut winner.
Racing, and it is in fact the New Zealander Josh Coppins on the Suzuki Bike C. Here comes Taylor there at 6s and 7s. Oh, no one's gone down. We got one off the track, but no one goes down over the Stutters. Bike number 84. His name is Jeff Millen. Millen stalled his machine halfway through the stutter jumps. Oh, that was in fact the Kawasaki. The race leader is the New Zealander Cameron Taylor and John DeStefano right in there behind. DeStefano on his brand new Husky. And I tell you what, John looks to be quite happy with it. He's doing a great job out there. Moves up on the outside of bike number C. That's the New Zealander Coppins. Oh, elbow to elbow stuff between Coppins and DeStefano. DeStefano gets the better of that little exchange. The race leader is Cameron Taylor. Cameron Taylor doing it for Dandenong Honda on bike number 10. The field spread evenly across the circuit here at the Pines Raceway in lovely Griffith. Very proud to bring the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters here to Griffith for the first time. The cameras are clicking. Cameron Taylor gets that RM125 a little out of gear as he headed down the main straightaway here at the Pines Raceway. And haven't the first three really bolted from the rest of the pack? Cameron Taylor asserting his authority in his first outing of the night aboard the 125. In second place is DeStefano on the Husky. And in third place at the moment, bike number C, Josh Coppins from the land of the long white cloud. Our second Husqvarna seems to be bike number 88, Derek Lewington. Lewington is back in about, I would have to say, wind down one. Wind down one. Out this side. Thank you. Wind that down. Guys at 6s and 7s at the moment. Oh, he's taken the whole bloody track with him. Bike number 34. Justin Stokes. I tell you what, if he keeps waving ribbons like that, he could get a job on the Australian gymnastics team for the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games. Seems the commentary and the microphone and all the wires seem to be working at the moment. We'll hopefully stick with that. What a great lead the first three have. Race leader remains. Down the master, hurry in just a bit. The race leaders are high flying down there in turn number 3 and 4 as the yellow flag is out. Track officials have plenty of work to do rearranging banners after this one. 1 lap to go for the race leader, Cameron Taylor. Oh, DeStefano, high, wide and handsome up over the Peter Jackson double camel jump on the Husqvarna. Third place is young Josh Coppins, and G. Coppins is riding well in this senior 125cc heat number 3, pardon me. Cameron Taylor negotiating the studders as I speak and doing a very fine job of it. John DeStefano enters the studders as Cameron Taylor enters the back section of the course. And Cameron Taylor really streaking away with this one. Josh Coppins isn't going to be able to do anything about John DeStefano in position number 2 on the track. Oh, some of those slower riders causing officials some very big headaches. Race leader is just about ready to come up onto the tabletop, and that's him. Cameron Taylor on bike number 10, taking out heat number 3 of the one.
Andy Raymond calling the action there in event number 6. We now move along, obviously, to event 7, sponsored by Mitchell's Bobcat Hire. The 125cc Gladiators set to unleash their horsepower here over 4 laps, and Craig Anderson involved on machine number 63, ironically not shown in the program, Craig Dack.
No, but he'll have a lot of competition in this race. A young guy, Hardman there, who's just got tangled up there with the pack. He's just moved up to the 125 class, and he's a flyweight at this stage, but he's back in about 5th or 6th spot at this stage. You
could almost rename this racetrack, apart from Pines Raceway, Autumn Leaves, because there's a lot of falling going on tonight, always falling. Craig Anderson's a race leader and has certainly jumped away from the pack.
Yeah, I think the crashes tonight is just something that it happens from time to time. It's because it's so early in the year and the season is so fresh, everybody's very excited and keen to get racing, and they're trying extra hard to get those points for the start of the series.
Well, I'm excited. This is a great place to come to. Craig Anderson up over the big jump for the first time round has certainly put a lot of distance between he and his nearest rival. Back in 2nd spot, he'd be about 20 or 30 metres behind.
That's right, and Hardman's making a challenge for 2nd now, and he's actually slipped through, and that's a great effort for such a small guy, and he's actually trying very, very hard here to try and hold that position, and there's no doubt he's got a lot of guts.
Yes, you're right there, Daka. A great battle. The other rider on machine number 31 is obviously Cuthbertson, and he has certainly shown a fair bit of tenacity, but now we see Hardman jumping away from him.
Well, Cuthbertson should be very fast for this stutter bump section because he's a lot taller than Hardman, and I'm not sure if he made the pass, but he'll keep trying. You're saying that if you're a little lanky, it helps you through the stutters? It certainly does. You can't have your backside, so to speak, too close to the seat because the bike can come up and hit you in the backside and throw you forward. And that's exactly where you don't want your weight across a set of stutter bumps. You want your weight as far back as you can to let the front wheel carry across the top of the bumps. Expert comments from Craig Dack, our special guest co-commentator tonight at the Pines Raceway in Griffith. Obviously, Craig Dack, 8 times national champion, former winner of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters Series. That man on screen aboard machine number 3 is Mark Hardman. He's currently 2nd on the racetrack behind that man who's now on screen. He's the flying Craig Anderson. And Hardman's doing a great job. I mean, he's just come out of the 80cc class, and he looks actually more comfortable on the 80 at this stage, but as he grows up and gets a little bit taller, he'll suit these bikes quite well. And it's quite the opposite at the moment for Anderson. I think he's starting to grow up a little bit more now with his height, and he looks more comfortable on the 125 these days. The amazing thing about Craig Anderson, to me, is that he's such a quiet, unassuming kid. When you talk to him, you wouldn't for one moment think he was such an aggressive motorcycle racer. No, he seems very focused on what he wants out of the sport. At such a young age, he puts a lot of effort in. He's a very, very nice guy to have on the team at Yamaha because I have to do a fair bit of dealing with the guys, and he's one of the nice guys. And he comes once again up the main straight, very close to the finish line. Not far to go now in this event. And quite frankly, Craig Anderson is going to win this one by a country mile. Mark Hardman is still back in 2nd spot, and best of the rest back in 3rd is that good old fellow from the North Shore in Sydney, Bob Cuthbertson. Yes, Hardman's moved away now, and it's spread itself out, and they're all got their positions pretty much secure. And it's just a matter of conserving their energy, maybe thinking about the settings on their bikes, but they can go back into the pits now and they can make some fine adjustments to the bike and try and make it a little bit better for the next race.
The blokes on spokes are providing a processional-like affair in this event, with all due respect to our tearaway race leader Anderson, who fully deserves to take the checkered flag. Not the most riveting Supercross event I've had the pleasure of calling over the years, but Craig Anderson not far to go now in this event, and this event, speaking of which, is sponsored by Mitchell's Bobcat Hire.
That's right. It's always great as a rider's point of view to win as far as you can and have a comfortable lead. But as a spectator's point of view, it's not quite as good.
Yes, indeed. High, wide and handsome over the top there, and last lap board on display from Graham Stewart. And Craig Anderson now only has, I suppose, about a dozen corners to negotiate, and he's already approaching the stutters.
But it's
whoa, big fall there.
That's nasty.
The rider's gone down big time, and you'll find possibly that this race could be halted prematurely as Craig Anderson continues to race for the checkered flag. You'll find the rider there is the rider of machine number 58, Wesley Campbell, obviously sick, sore and very sorry. As Craig Anderson aboard machine number 63 takes the checkered flag comfortably.
And Fearless Tom Skian on bike number 18. We bump that up just a touch. Riders are ready. The 5-second board is up. We got 6 laps of action coming your way. This is semi-final number 1. This one, of course, brought to you by Peter Jackson. Andrew was the first man into the first corner. Ashkenazi is on the outside as they battle for supremacy in the first half lap. Oh my God, we get a bolter I can't see from here. A few riders down. Stephen Andrew and Ashkenazi have been bumped back, and for the life of me, I cannot see who's leading. Call me blind, it could be Mad Max Kettle on bike number 38. In fact, it is Mad Max strutting his stuff. No, the movie wasn't named after him. He was named after the bloody movie. High flying up over the tabletop. Andrew in second, Ashkenazi followed by Glenn Bell. The All-Star cast preparing to go fast. Stephen Andrew is the new race leader. Here comes Ashkenazi. Bike number 6, Bell on the outside. Oh, there's plenty of brake testing going on. Kettle is not going to give an inch. Watch Stephen Andrew over the stutter jumps. This is awesome. I tell you what, he is quicker than Ben Johnson on steroids, this man. Very, very fast over the stutter jumps. And that's where the men are separated from the boys. High flying, airtime. Stephen Andrew knows all about that. Ashkenazi is in position number 2 on the track, right on Andrew's hammer. Third place is Phil Sargent, I believe. Where's Glenn Bell? Bell has dropped back to about 6th on the track. The battle for third is a humdinger. Phil Sargent and bike number 25, Cameron Taylor. Then comes Bell, then comes Kettle, followed by Joel Elliott. Bike number 18 is also in there, Tommy Skeenan and 56. Jason Kennedy, I believe, rounds out about the top 8. Stephen Andrew over the stutter jump. Poetry in motion. Oh, look at him. Smooth as a baby's backside as airtime Andrew. Down into the very back section of the course. Ready to go up over the Matterhorn. There he goes. Fading into the night. Stephen Andrew, and look at the air this guy gets down across the main straightaway. He is nicknamed Airtime. This guy gets any higher, they'll be calling for the oxygen masks, believe you me. Up he goes, down he comes. Kim Ashkenazi is right in there in second place, and Ashkenazi will not give up until he sees the zebra flag on the final lap. Third place at the moment, bike number 25, Cameron Taylor. Glenn Bell is in 4th place. Sorry, Phil Sargent in 4th, Bell in 5th, bike number 20. Joel Elliott is in 6th place on the racetrack proper. The first 8 go directly into the main event, and what a main event it should be. 20 laps of sheer pandemonium. Race leader is Andrews, doing it very nicely. This is semi-final number 1. This is brought to you by Peter Jackson. The journey, a 6-lapper, 2 laps more than what we saw in the heat races. Andrew high flying, doing it nicely up over the Peter Jackson double camel jump. Second place is Kim Ashkenazi on the RM 250. A lot of power being pumped out by these machines. Glenn Bell starting to make his presence felt a little. Bell has moved up to fourth and is considerably closing in on third place runner, young Cameron Taylor. And Taylor has put up a great fight thus far. Cameron Taylor on bike number 25, sponsored by Dandenong Honda. Bell also is very quick over the stutter jumps. The stutter jumps, the key is to keep your arms as straight as possible without exerting pressure on the elbows. Lean back on your machine and keep on the gas. Dusted, busted and disgusted. I tell you what, a bit of soil sampling from Ralph Mamaletti on the main straightaway, and Big Ralph has let the Kawasaki right in the middle of harm's way. Stephen Andrew and Kim Ashkenazi make their way past. Taylor, here comes Bell on the outside. Glenn Bell bolts into third place at about half race distance. Taylor back on the inside, Mr. Consistency on the outside. Bell gets the inside run into the sharp right-hander, and Glenn Bell, 9-time national champion, moves through to position 3 on the track. Ralph Mamaletti on bike number 42 is our injured rider. Let's hope Ralph is A-OK. We already owe the Griffith Ambulance Brigade plenty of dollars tonight. Bike number 40, one of the strugglers. Sam Jones enjoying his outing. High, wide and handsome as Mamaletti gets up. Oh, look at Andrews. Stephen Andrews has 1 lap to go. Ashkenazi is in second. Kim Ashkenazi, the current 125, 250 and 500cc motocross champion of the nation. The first time in many years anyone has made the triple. Ashkenazi will not do anything stupid here. He knows second place is just as good as first. It'll transfer you through to the final. You'll miss out on probably $150. That'll be the difference between first and second in the semi-final. Been a very good ride though. All credit to Airtime Andrew. And I think it's Ashkenazi is closing at a rate of knots. Come on Griffith, let's hear it as they come down the final straight. Semi-final number 1 goes to Airtime, Stephen Andrews. Ashkenazi, Kamikaze, that'll be Kim in second.
Kim Ashkenazi in great form here, and a terrific field of riders lining up for the next event, proudly sponsored by Spokeswear, including the former World Supercross champion Mike Jones from Pennsylvania, also Ben Parise aboard the Peter Jackson Racing Yamaha, and the riders now face up to the starters' orders, and away they go. The handlebar heroes about to strut their stuff, Craig Deck.
That's right, and once again Mike Jones pulls the whole shot. He's excellent at nailing those starts, and it's so important in Supercross to get a good start. You don't have any of those riders in front of you, or the slower riders you have to get past, and you have a clear track, and you can see straight away he's moved into he's got himself a buffer zone already. That is certainly his forte, one of the best in the business at getting out of the start line area. Lee Hogan aboard the other Peter Jackson Yamaha is the best of the combination, of that team combination at the moment. He's searching towards the lead. You can see Ben Parise on screen there. He's battling back about midfield. Mike Jones is the first rider to come up the main straight. Lee Hogan now moving very quickly towards the lead, and Troy Doran is third. Yes, and they're all trying very, very hard. If you just watch carefully, when they're only a half a metre from the ground, they'll throw the bike into the ground to try and get it back to earth as quick as they can so they can accelerate and make some ground or try and pull away. This is very important this stage of the night, because each rider wants to pass the guy in front of them, because they want to try and get that advantage psychologically going into the final. Yes, that's a fair comment, and obviously you would know all about that. Mike Jones is the race leader. Certainly Lee Hogan is starting to close dramatically now. Do you think he has what it takes to go on with it? I think so. What I've seen lately, Lee has been riding very, very well. He's very determined and focused at this stage, and I put Lee up there tonight as one of the guys to take out the final. He would be pushing at this stage. He rides to a plan, and I know his plan is just always to win.
No major change in the order as they work their way up again past the main section. Across the strike they travel once more, and Mike Jones is the leader all the way from Pennsylvania. Lee Hogan, the Victorian rider aboard machine number 2, sponsored by Peter Jackson, is in second spot. Troy Doran on the Suzuki is third, followed by Dale Britton from Western Australia, and fifth, further back in the field, is Ben Parise.
And it's interesting here, the contrast between the guy in the lead and the guy in second, Lee Hogan. Mike Jones is a very aggressive rider. He muscles the bike around, throws it around quite a bit, whereas if you watch Lee Hogan, he's very, very smooth. His lines are consistent. He doesn't make many mistakes, and that way he'll probably be one of the guys in the final that will definitely be up there in the end, because he won't crash, and he's riding smooth enough to conserve all his energy.
Mike Jones would be a rider under a fair bit of pressure, Craig. Obviously he comes to Australia with very big raps, being a former world champion in 1989. He's been to Australia a number of times now. We've already alluded to the fact that he is yet to win a major event in this country, as we now see Lee Hogan closing dramatically. But because of all of that, Jones must be getting frustrated.
He would be getting frustrated. Each time he's been out here, he's tried several different bikes. This time he's on a Yamaha. We supplied him with the Peter Jackson Yamaha. He's quite happy with the bike, and but he's always a guy that's always put in a lot of effort, and that's why he keeps getting invited back by promoter Phil Christensen. If he's not winning, he's certainly always trying.
The best thing about him for mine, apart from his obvious motorcycling talents, is the fact that he's a superb mouthpiece off the racetrack, very charismatic and a real character of the sport. Well, there's no doubt that Lee Hogan is moving very, very close to Mike Jones. Hogan's going to try and go past Mike Jones so quickly that Jones catches pneumonia with the breeze. That's the plan anyway, but Jones is still the race leader.
Well, that's right. There's always a plan, but the plan doesn't always go right. So it's just a matter of plugging away and keep pushing. And at this stage too, Lee will be thinking about his bike and thinking about opportunities on the track where he can pass. And just now we're starting to catch up. Well, the riders are starting to catch up to the slower riders, and this will probably, could give an opportunity for Lee to make a pass.
Mike Jones still in control. Hogan seems to be very quick through that part of the racetrack. Mike Jones seems to me to be able to jump away again on the other side of the stutter jumps. About this side of the racetrack, or this part of the track, seems to be Mike Jones's strength. Throws a bike in there speedway style, got it very crossed up. Lee Hogan couldn't pounce on that occasion.
Well, there's always a certain part of a track that you feel more comfortable than another part of the track, and it looks like with these two riders here, one rider has a certain part of the track wide and the other rider has another part of the track wide. So, you've got this closing up the gap stage and then pulling away, and I think Lee needs to work on Mike Jones and work out where he's faster and try and, well, it looks like he's worked it out already. He's right there with him and in a position to do it.
Yeah, great riding by Hogan. You mentioned the fact that he's smooth and calculating. He is also very aggressive. When he blasted by our commentary box, which is located on the main straight here at Griffith, you could see the determination in the eyes of Hogan as he gets to the lead by half a metre. This slow traffic could help his quest. In fact, it's worked out badly for him.
Well, you can see a good rider when he's changing lines like Lee is there. He's not hesitant at all to go and find and look for or search for another line, and outside, inside, wherever he needs to go, he's quite capable of going at this stage, and that's the sign of a rider with a lot of confidence. Lee was a bit unfortunate there that lap rider was caught in between them, but you can still see he's still trying, and the race is not over yet.
It was a great piece of anticipation by Mike Jones, though, Craig, to make the most of the situation with the slower rider. Very
experienced rider, Mike Jones. He does a lot of riding throughout the world. He competes in Sweden quite a bit, does a lot in the European circuit. He's full-time in America. The guy races every single weekend, and to be FIM world champion back in '89, that says it all, I guess.
He's not out of danger just yet. Graham Stewart has displayed the last lap to go board. Jones is the race leader, but Hogan has already proven a couple of times in this event, even if he's about 10 metres behind, he can close dramatically. Jones race leader now through the left-hander. He'll be approaching the stutters very shortly, but he's very quick through Mike Jones. There he goes now, and he certainly is poetry in motion.
Just watching the bikes, both these Yamahas seem to be set up perfect. You're going through the stutter bumps there. The rear mudguard of the bike is just staying in one position, and the wheel just is moving up and down underneath them. So that's a sign of a really nice handling bike.
Obviously, that's a credit to the management of the team. I can say it, you can't. Mike Jones, just a couple of corners now left to run. Graham Stewart has the checkered flag at the ready. This has probably been the best race of the night, and it's Mike Jones from Pennsylvania. Lee Hogan second. Great ride there by Mike Jones, taking the checkered flag comfortably in the end, but certainly Lee Hogan provided plenty of thrills for the big crowd here at the Pines Raceway in Griffith. Next event, 4 laps again the journey, sponsored by Motorola. and again involving the junior 125cc brigade. Probably Craig Dack, Brian Steele entitled to favouritism here.
Yeah, he's a good rider, that's for sure. He's been doing well in the last couple of races, and he should do well in this one. I love watching the juniors because they're the guys you've got to look at for the future. They're the guys that probably some of the riders there now that aren't up in the leading bunch, they could be the future champions. You just never know. So that's the racing I always like to look at, to try and pick the good guys for the future.
It's a good comment, and I guess in many ways promoter Philip Christensen should take a fairly big pat on the back for assisting in what he's doing to foster young talent.
That's right. Phil's always supported the junior ranks, and as I said earlier, it's a very, very important class to
race leader almost down. Sorry to cut you off there. Brian Steele had an anxious moment, but still maintains the race lead. Here he comes now on the Kawasaki, machine number 54. Second is Daniel Barker aboard the Suzuki, number 113.
And even though some of these riders don't do the big jumps of all the other riders,
he actually jumped and had to change lines in the middle of the air.
That's right. As I was going to say, these riders mightn't do the big jumps that the good guys do, but they certainly put on just as good a racing. It's close, it's exciting, and look at this. Straight through to the inside.
Having a big go, Barker takes the race lead. Fighting back on the inside, though, is Brian Steele. Steele and Barker, they're certainly scrapping away here at the Pines Raceway. For the moment, anyway, the rider of Machine 54 gets the upper hand. I refer, obviously, to Brian Steele.
Well, this is one of the best races of the night. As I said, they're not jumping all the obstacles, but none of the riders are giving in. That was a funny line there. He's gone right out of the way, and that's enabled Steele to get a good lead.
I couldn't believe the way that Daniel Barker actually changed direction in mid-air before.
Well, that's part of it, you know. You got to. He was quite lucky to actually get away with that one. I always like to try to stay pretty straight over the jumps. It gets a bit hairy when you start swapping and changing lines in the air, because once you're committed to a jump, it's very hard to move out of the way.
I guess if it all went wrong for you, you could say a gust of wind took control. Race leader, and I've got to say he's doing it a little conservatively at the moment, is aboard machine number 54, Brian Steele. I wouldn't say these guys are setting a cracking pace, but nonetheless are getting the job done.
Well, Daniel Barker, he's definitely not giving in. Look, straight up the inside there. Steele goes for the inside, back again, and these guys have just been at it the whole race.
Yeah, they're not running quickly, I reiterate, but they're providing some entertaining racing here. And for the moment, Daniel Barker assumes control of the event. He's hence relegated Brian Steele back to second spot on the racetrack. You'll find that Justin Stokes is now up running third, followed by Eddie Philp.
Well, Barker, he's made a good lead now. He actually made a mistake in the last lap through the stutter bumps, but that time he got through without any problem at all. And look, Steele straight back again. Barker seems to go to the outside quite a bit more than Steele, and Steele just trickles around the inside of the turn. Maybe his cornering speed's not quite as fast, but it's doing the job.
Yes, Brian showing more steel than BHP aboard machine number 54. Currently second on the racetrack. He's got a little bit of work to do now, because Daniel Barker has jumped away momentarily. In fact, has opened up a fairly handy buffer. I guess it's about 20 metres now. He now faces the main straight.
Well, yeah, Barker, I just noticed his head was starting to move back and forward then, and that's the sign of a rider starting to get tired. I don't know, I'm not in his position, but to me it looks like he's starting to get a little bit tired, and it's late in the night, so his muscles are probably starting to shake.
Obviously, this is a time where it can be a little difficult to maintain concentration when you're tired, and obviously the fact that you're leading by so far.
Well, that's right. You get physically tired or you get mentally tired, and one affects the other. So you've got to keep yourself very, very sharp, not only physically but mentally, because you make one mistake on these sort of tracks and you go down quicker than you know it.
Well, Craig, that is very true, and obviously that applies to the rider of Machine 54, Brian Steele, who had the race well and truly in his keeping for such a long time, and he ran wide on a couple of corners, enabling our new race leader, Daniel Barker, to work his way down on the inside line. So it doesn't take much to slip from your grasp.
No, that's right, and I must compliment the club on the job they've done on this track tonight. It's a very, very good track. It's probably one of the better Supercross tracks as a layout point of view that I've seen this year. The jumps are well shaped, there's plenty of room for passing, there's no complaints about the lighting, and it's a very, very close-knitted club here, and they've always put on a good show, and look, Barker there almost stalls the engine. Yeah,
Barker could feel well satisfied with this as he now approaches the final lap of the event. He has had to work very hard for it, and as you pointed out, he's starting to look a little ginger on it, a little tired. Fair income, a guy just walked past the commentary box that had a moustache that looked like an eyebrow that's come down for a drink. And in somewhat of an ironic twist of fate, Craig Dack used to have a moustache, and when I told him that, he actually shaved it off. In the meantime, though, the race leader, Daniel Barker, marches towards the checkered flag, Craig Dack.
Guess what? I think he's going to do it too. I think he's ridden a very, very good race. He hasn't made many mistakes earlier when they were challenging for positions. there was a few mistakes being made, but at this stage it looks like Barker's got to do the business.
He's done a good job, really, hasn't he? He's had to work fairly hard for it in the early stages of the event. Brian Steele provided a fair bit of grit, but right now has dropped off the pace. I think this young man, Daniel Barker, could feel well pleased.
Yeah, that's right, and also these guys will probably get quite a bit more tired than the good riders because they're not jumping all the jumps. So in fact, they're doing more jumps than the top riders are, because a lot of the top riders miss out on jumps because they triple or double. And as you can see, Barker, he's not quite jumping all the jumps, and he's landing on the face of them, and he's probably using up a lot more energy than maybe one of the good guys.
So he's obviously wrestling with the bike a lot more because of the fact that he's a young up-and-coming rider. Down towards the main straight once more, and checkered flag, a very good win for Daniel Barker.
Craig Anderson on 63, but really lit the track up. Mark Hardman on bike number 3. If he gets the start, it could be interesting. Look for Leith Alphas on bike number 8. Paul Wheel on 46. There'll be a couple of others. Very hard charges. The gate about to drop. They've got the 5-second border. It's whole shot time in turn number 1. Who's going to take the start? Anderson on the low line with Alphas coming through on the outside. Paul Wheel on 46. And now Mark Hardman sweeps up around the outside of Anderson. Let's see if he can execute the passing manoeuvre. He's up within about a bike length of Anderson as they make their way over the set of double jumps. They'll approach the O'Meara's leap. They just about clear it. The 80's really winding out. You can see Paul Wheel up in 3rd position. And rounding out the top 4, can't quite pick the number from here. It may be Leith Alphas riding bike number 8, but we'll keep a close eye on it for you as they work it through. Only 4 laps of racing. Only 4 laps of racing. A big jump from Anderson. Clears the Revs Motorcycle News leap with Mark Hardman now back about 10 to 15 metres. In 3rd position, bike 36, Lee Masters from Paul Wheel, Leith Alphas, and it's back to Stephen Gillies from number 122. And then we look back to bike number 6, Scott Cowendry from 64 in Bevan Collins, 137. The next one to come through, not listed here in our program, but I'll switch back to Craig Anderson with the front end up. Ando looking the goods, and he'd be hoping to bring home the bacon. He might be only a junior rider, but he is fiercely competitive and has raced internationally. Bike 45 in some trouble. Stephen Gillies for Dave Burns, MC and Castrol. He's up with a slight limp. Good news, he is up on his feet. And I think he's going to get the bike started, showing true dedication. Good on you, Stephen. Showing plenty of courage and plenty of guts, and he's going to rejoin the event. That certainly is worthy of a round of applause in itself as he tosses his goggles. Good shot there to the flag marshal, and he'll get back on with the job. But our race leader is Craig Anderson, the Yamaha maestro, making his way through the technical section. Mark Hardman has begun to close on our leader, and this could be interesting for 1 and 2. We've got the Yamahas filling the top 2 spots. A couple of Kawasaki's being ridden by Paul Wheel and Lee Masters respectively in 3rd and 4th, as Paul Wheel has a go at Masters but can't quite get the job done. This is good racing. We've got Mark Hardman beginning to inch closer to Ando, and then we've got Lee Masters and Paul Wheel engaging in some heavy combat of their own. Back in 5th and all by his lonesome, bike number 8 and Leith Alphas, and following him we'll just try and pick the next rider up, making his way out of the left-handed turn. I think it's bike 122. And, well, I'm not sure if that's Luke Farrellway on the Suzuki. We've got 112 listed here in the program, but nonetheless, that rider doing a good job out on the circuit. We'll pick up our race leaders for you. They're about to turn it hard left and make it back onto the finishing straight. Mark Hardman beginning to close on Craig Anderson, riding bike number 63. They make their way on towards the Revs Motorcycle News tabletop. And now approach the left-hander. Hardman coming on with a real charge. He's got the bit between the teeth. And this young Tyro is certainly going to give Anderson everything before this one's over. You can see Lee Masters in 36 and Paul Wheel still duking it out for 4 and 3. A great battle this one as Paul Wheel swoops up behind the back mudguard of Lee Masters. He's still plugging away, still persevering, trying to get through, but he can't quite do it. Swap over so you can go down. And you can see them as they approach. the O'Meara's leap, and I'll hand you over to Andy Raymond, and he'll take you through the next couple of events because I'll be handling the presentation trackside. We just call them as they make their way down towards the Revs Motorcycle News leap. Still Craig Anderson riding bike 63 with Mark Hardman pretty close to him, and they'll be coming back into view shortly. Hardman now about 10 to 15 metres back. Still Craig Anderson with a healthy lead. 1 lap remaining with Mark Hardman. Persevering, but he's about 30 to 40 metres in arrears of our leader. Oh, you got one?
Okay, they'll be needed at the end of this stage.
Young Craig Anderson doing very well out there for himself as he continues to dominate the Australian motocross and supercross scene, and he has done, in fact, in the junior ranks for the last 2 or 3 years. In second place is bike number 3, young Mark Hardman, and this is a guy who, I guess, in motocross terms, has been a little bit of a late starter at the age of 13. I don't know how you can call that a late starter. He is coming on in leaps and bounds, really putting his mark on the junior ranks in this event. He held with Craig Anderson for the majority of the race. But Anderson, to lose to Anderson, should I say, is certainly no disgrace. Anderson is just about right to collect the checker. That he does! Craig Anderson one-handed on the little 80cc to take out tonight's junior 80cc final, sponsored by... Okay, out of the gates they go, and they are at 6s and 7s. Oh, something's got to give in this first corner. No, it doesn't. The boys strut and stroll. It's only a 3 lap, so really it is a sprint race for these guys. Down into the depths of the track, into darkness virtually from our vantage point. Up over the Matterhorn they go. Oh, there's a bit of smoke leaking out one of the bikes. Only 2 guys will transfer through to the final. Keep that in mind, and a 3-lap journey, so they really cannot afford to miss the start. And the big bunches up there, they are ready to do battle for the remaining, I guess, 3 laps. Bike number 23 is our race leader. His name is Richie Hardman. Bike number 58 in there in second place, a hard charger at the best of times. 56, should I say, is his number, Jason Kennedy for HRA and MC Mart, Dunlop and ART. Richie Hardman and Jason Kennedy, bike number 29, is the guy in the pressure cooker at the moment. His name is Stephen Hunter, and those 3 are really pulling away from the rest of the pack. Only 2, as I said, will transfer. So it really has to be a very technical, very, well, bolt. Get out there and go as quick as you can. That is what it's all about. One mistake in this one, though, over 3 laps, and it is all but over. Jason Kennedy, Richie Hardman, and Stephen Hunter are the first 3. Hardman, followed by, oh, look at bike 56, Jason Kennedy. Up on the outside, these 2 guys really don't need to do anything stupid. They are first and second, and that's what will get them through to the final. Kennedy moves into the race lead, and now young Hardman. Richie Hardman is in the pressure place because bike number 29, Stephen Hunter, can and will strike at any given time. Hardman moves through into the lead. This is a great race for a last chance qualifier. 56, Jason Kennedy. Oh, here comes Hunter. Hunter has split the pair. Oh, it looked like he was going to move from 3rd to 1st in one foul swoop. In fact, he has not. But is looking very good. He moves up into 2nd and pushes Kennedy back 1 place into 3rd. The race leader, the guys are almost 3 abreast as they enter the bottom section of the track. Hardman is first. In 2nd place is bike number 29, Stephen Hunter. And Kennedy is in 3rd place, young Jason. We have 1 lap to go. Only 2 of these 3 riders will transfer into the final. It's either do or die in this 1 lap. Look, bike number 56 up the outside. Kennedy giving it 1 last lunge. Has not been able to do it that time round. Hardman is the guy on bike number 23. On bike 29 is Stephen Hunter. Jason Kennedy on 56. These 3 will battle until they see the zebra flag at the very end. This is where Hunter is very quick. Oh, he's very unstable this time round, but so too is Jason Kennedy. A big let off for Stephen Hunter that time around. He was at 6s and 7s over the stutter jumps and really was ready for the passing. Unfortunately, Kennedy could not make any inroads. He too had problems negotiating the stutter jumps. About half a lap remaining, even less than that, should I say. They come around, oh, it's final straight time already. They're quicker than I thought. Richie Hardman on bike number 23 will take the win. Second place, bike number 29, Stephen Hunter. 56, Jason Kennedy will finish in third.
We now wait for the next event with no little expectation. Joel Elliott involved in this event, so too is Stewie Bennett. McNabb Ampol, the sponsors of the ABC Grade 125cc final. And we're only seconds now away from the start. The riders over the handlebars, and we're racing. Joel Elliott got a very good start. Fair dinkum, have a look at them. They look like the charge of the Light Brigade. Joel Elliott's the early race leader, Craig.
Yes, and number 10 there, Cameron Taylor, he's one of the hard chargers on a 125. He'll be right in there the most of the race. But local guy at the moment, Kirkman, has hit the lead. He's always been a very, very good starter. He's done a lot of short circuit in his day, and that's why he's always pulled good starts.
Mark Kirkman, the race leader, maybe only for a moment or so. If Joel Elliott's got anything to do with it, he moves now a lot closer to the back of Kirkman's machine. In fact, they'd only be separated by about 2 metres up the main straight for the first time. Stewie Bennett now starting to make his way through the pack, and the fellow back in fourth is further back than my bank repayments.
And this will be a real test for Elliott's conditioning and also his concentration after a late night last night up in Rockhampton. And if he can stick it out for the whole final after such a big race last night, and the weather tonight being very draining on the body, it'll be a good effort for him.
Yeah, quite humid here in Griffith, and obviously it is Easter time, so a great atmosphere down here and a very big crowd. We now see Elliott making a big charge up on the inside, in command of the stutter jumps, and obviously now relegating Kirkman back to second spot. That was gutsy stuff.
Well, he's been fast there all night. He was very, very fast there in practice, and if he's got to win this race, I think that'll be the area he wins it, in the stutter bump section.
Okay, now watching them sort themselves out, they move back towards the main straight here at the Pines Raceway. A great battle between Elliott and also Kirkman. They're running side by side fairly regularly on the circuit, and it's not the first time tonight we've seen these two battling it out. And the rider now up running third
is Cameron Taylor. He's a hard charger on a 125. He should be right in there. He should be nice and fresh. He didn't race last night, so he'll be there right through the final. And the 125 racing to me is always very, very spectacular. The racing's close. No rider ever really breaks away, and they really put in. They've got to throw the bike around. It hasn't got the power of the 250, so they really need to muscle the bike. And in fact, these riders would probably get a lot more tight on a bike than, say, a 250 rider. And there's Taylor right around the outside of Kirkman over the stutters.
Yes, great move there, right around the outside. They're running fairly close together on the racetrack. The three riders up front, pardon my throat. In fact, you could almost throw a blanket over them. No sooner have I said that than our race leader has jumped away. Joel Elliott, machine number 3. He's now well and truly under siege from Taylor, and Kirkman's been bumped back to third.
Well, it's a very interesting track too. I just noticed there, Joel Elliott went out around the outside of a turn to get the momentum or the speed to clear a double jump or an obstacle, and Cameron Taylor snuck around the inside and didn't make the jump, but also he kept the same gap. And what they've done to this track is very, very impressive, and Cameron Taylor is right there with him.
Yes, Taylor's looking probably the best of the trio at the moment. Joel Elliott certainly is the race leader, but obviously the other guy behind him, Cameron Taylor, is applying plenty of pressure. Joel Elliott, quite strong and very tenacious. He's not going to give it up easily.
No, he isn't, and there's a big mistake there from Elliott. He may be losing concentration, or he's getting a little bit tired from the night before. I'm also surprised that Kirkman hasn't stuck with these guys. He's a local guy here. I believe he's had some sort of input in the design of the track. So I would have, it's surprising that he's not closer to these guys at this stage.
Yes, a little bit of hometown advantage and all of that. Race leader, though, is Cameron Taylor, a couple of metres in advance of Joel Elliott. Elliott looking for a little bit of time up the inside there, couldn't find it, and our race leader goes across the strike, jumps high into the night sky, and Joel Elliott's got a lot of work to do.
Well, I certainly hope it stays this way. It's a very interesting race at this stage. They're starting now to move into the lap riders, and this is where it gets very, very tricky. They have to be careful of those extra riders, and also what you'll see on the track is you'll see ruts start to form like through these turns here. It starts to dig into the soil and get a lot of bumps coming out. And you can just see there, if you don't get the break with those lap riders, you can lose all that ground that you've made up. And that's a very important part of racing. You can make that an advantage to you or a disadvantage to those lap riders.
Yes, the riders that are most successful in any form of motorcycling obviously are the ones that can utilise that lap traffic to their advantage. Kevin Swanson is one of the best in the business at that, obviously far removed from the form of motor racing we're watching here. Cameron Taylor is now negotiating more traffic than you'd find in a Woolworths car park on a Thursday night, up the main straight and very comfortably indeed.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, but you know, you've got to keep concentrating. He can make one small mistake and he's not far enough in front at this stage to get away with not having Elliott pass him. Elliott actually looks like he's starting to make a bit of ground now, and that's what you'll probably see through this final is one rider will get the break with the lap riders and another rider won't, and it'll basically even itself up as the race goes on. But at this stage, Elliott looks like he's really trying hard, and I don't think the race is over.
If you were Joel Elliott, how would you attack the remaining laps in this event?
Well, I always like to come from behind, and this would be my favourite position to be in at this stage of the race, because Cameron Taylor at this stage is dictating the pace, and Elliott's got something to strive for. Taylor's probably thinking if he's going too fast and he doesn't want to crash, or is he not going fast enough, so he's probably in a state of mind where he's not quite sure what to do.
Would you suggest the man in second spot in a race like this has the advantage?
It depends on the rider. Some riders are riders who like to lead a race, some riders like to come from behind. It looks like Elliott likes to come from behind because he's actually closing the gap at this stage, and Cameron Taylor, to me, just looks like he's starting to get a little bit tired.
A little bit offline. Joel Elliott now starting to move a little bit closer to the race leader. It's been a good race. We've seen the lead change several times early on, and as Craig Dack was saying a little while ago, Kirkman has certainly dropped well out of this one, and that is very surprising indeed. Elliott once again very swift over the stutter.
Yes, and I noticed that time, in fact, the back end of the bike started to kick sideways, and that's probably due to the fact that the ruts are starting to form in the stutter bump, and the back wheel probably got caught in one of those ruts, the front wheel's out of the rut, and that's why the bike had that sideways kicking action.
Cameron Taylor is the race leader once again up the main straight. It's been a super performance by him, a great ride in fact. Second is Joel Elliott. Craig Dack was just describing some of the attitudes of the bike. I just wonder whether that's a case of the rider getting tired as well, not holding the bike tightly enough between his legs.
Well, that's one of the important things, and you're a quick learner, David. It's very important to hold the bike between the legs through those stutter bumps and try and keep the bike tracking very straight.
I think you told me that yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Well, we won't give away too many secrets.
Okay, Cameron Taylor, race leader, now not far to go in this event. Still Joel Elliott in second spot. They're followed on the racetrack by Mark Kirkman. Stuart Bennett, in fact, now launching a very serious challenge on the territory of that third place rider. But in the meantime, it's all Cameron Taylor.
Well, that's right. Stuart Bennett does hold the #1 plate. He's the national Supercross champion for the 125 class. And he won that title last year, and he's showing this year that he can possibly do it again. But as you said, that Cameron Taylor has ridden a great race, but they're starting to get to a very tricky time of the race here, particularly for Cameron Taylor, because we're getting a lot of lap riders.
Nice bit of close-in camera work there by Greg Cedar, who's actually filming this event tonight right above the broadcast box. He's standing on a rickety piece of iron. The last lap board has now been shown, and Cameron Taylor is well on his way to winning this event.
Well, I haven't given up on Elliott yet. He's a very experienced rider. He's done a lot of racing. He's very smooth, and he seems like he can conserve energy. And this time Taylor is very slow through this section of the track, and if Elliott nails these bumps, which he's done, he should make up a fair bit of ground. He's only got one rider between him now, and he looks like he's got around that. No problem at all.
Yeah, good riding by Joel Elliott. Realises that time is running out very quickly. He needs to start applying everything he's got in the ticker department. Obviously, the race leader is still Cameron Taylor. Elliott is certainly moving a whole lot closer, negotiating a slower rider there. Unfortunately for Joel Elliott, though, the checkered flag will be too close. Cameron Taylor has already taken it. Here comes Joel Elliott in second spot, and Stuart Bennett moves up to third, right on the line. Hope you've been enjoying all the action from the fourth round of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters, the Pines Raceway in Griffith, and now the junior final, the finale for the 125cc riders, and once again a quality field to do battle.
Yes, and Craig Anderson, probably the guy in the best position to take out this race, but you know, he's been challenged tonight by guys like Hardman. Danny Ham is in there, and an interesting first corner.
Yes, Craig Anderson, I believe it was, that got the best of it, and should in fact approach this section of the racetrack a clear-cut race leader. That is in fact the way it's worked out for him, well and truly according to the Craig Anderson script. They're tightly packed, battling away for the minor placings though.
Well, he's got a good lead already. He's He's definitely at this stage of his career head and shoulders above the rest of the other riders, but you know, it's still a good race back there for the minor places.
Yeah, Craig Anderson wouldn't mind too much hearing those comments. He works very hard at it and deserves obviously the credit bestowed upon him. And here he comes now aboard machine number 63. Craig Anderson is already a good 30 metres in advance of his rivals.
Yes, and I know Ross McWaters from Yamaha has put Craig Anderson under his wing and definitely does a lot of work with him. And you know, Yamaha's given Craig the opportunity to do well this year, and he's grabbed the ball and run with it, so he deserves everything he's got. Great
battle developing for second and third as those two riders strut their stuff on this rather difficult and demanding Pines Raceway left-hander now, and they're touching elbows, exchanging paint and exchanging tyre brands.
And it's good to see a Husqvarna up there, a European bike in second place, and it's not often you see that. Husqvarna actually is putting a lot of effort into their racing this year. They're actually leading the World 500 Championship aboard the guy riding that bike is Kiers Vanderven, and he's leading that on a four-stroke bike, so that's impressive for motocross.
Michael Brazier is the rider in question aboard the Husqvarna, machine number 98, doing a fine job. He's been able to consolidate second spot, albeit a long way behind the race leader Craig Anderson, but certainly Michael Brazier doing a good job. Here he comes now up the main straight and has now relegated obviously that rider back into third spot.
Yes, and I think it's just great to see these guys at such a young age being able to jump most of the obstacles that the senior guys are. In fact, if you did a lap time on these guys, you'd be very surprised how much or how little difference there is between the fast guys and say AB, like the Hogans or the Bells, between them and these guys.
Yes, obviously Craig Anderson, we just saw a couple of moments ago, the left leg came off the foot peg and he got unbalanced momentarily, but quickly got it back under control, demonstrating all the class that makes him one of the best young riders in the world. Back in third, incidentally, is Ben Jones aboard the Suzuki, and he's currently trying to make up for lost ground on the second place rider, Michael Brazier.
Well, interesting mixture of bikes there. We've got a Yamaha up front, a Husqvarna in second, a Kawasaki third. So that's good for all the manufacturers to have all their bikes up there.
Craig Anderson already starting to lap slower traffic. There's no doubt about the class of this rider as he now approaches the end of the main straight here at the Pines Raceway. Not a bad racetrack, and Craig Anderson probably at the moment thinks it's a sensational racetrack.
Well, yeah, he's still trying very hard, as you can see there, and that's the sign of a very confident rider. To have a lead like this and still be riding at probably 9/10, he's riding with a lot of confidence. And ironically enough, he moves into seniors next year in about February. So I think when he moves into the senior ranks and gets aboard a 250, he'll shake up a lot of the big guys.
Yes, indeed. You'll find now that Ben Jones on the Suzuki is up running second, relegating the Husqvarna rider Michael Brazier back to third for the time being anyway, but there's not much in it, so don't be surprised if Brazier works his way back closer towards the leading rider, obviously being Craig Anderson, who reels off yet another lap.
Yes, it's been an interesting race really for me to watch, because I've never really had the opportunity to study Craig Anderson because I've always been working, but to look at him out in front there and just look at his technique on the bike, he's got his bike set up very, very well. And as I was saying earlier, he has all the technique requirements you need for a fast rider.
Last lap board has been shown by Graham Stewart, and Craig Anderson on his way to yet another win, and suffice to say, to add yet another trophy to his outstanding and considerable collection.
Another dust collector.
Yeah, you could say that. You've got a few of those. Anderson now about half a lap to negotiate. Still a fairly reasonable battle going on between Ben Jones and also Michael Brazier. At the moment, Jones has the best of it. Craig Anderson, in the meantime, puts another lap on a rider in his quest for the checkered flag and the finale in the Junior 125s.
He's doing it very, very smooth too. Still this far in the race, I can't see any signs of him getting tired at all. So he's obviously played a big part with his conditioning, and he's thrown that bike around like it's just been a rag doll.
He looks like he's had plenty of early nights in recent times, plenty of energy. And Craig Anderson now works his way back up the main straight, a class of his own, and takes the checkered flag by a country mile. Yes, sirree, Anderson aboard machine number 63 claims yet another victory for Yamaha.
The Pines Raceway here at Griffith with 21 of the top riders around the nation, including former World FIM Supercross champion from the United States, Mike Jones, They are ready to rock and roll. We have 5 seconds to go. Let's get this show on the road, they say. Who's going to win the race into the first corner? We'll have to wait and see. On the inside, Jones, also Lee Hogan on bike number 2. Glenn Bella's in there. They're at 6s and 7s. There are boys everywhere as they go around for the first half lap of this 20-lap journey. Dale Britton got a good start, but the man to catch at the moment as the flashes go off all around the Pines Raceway is the American, as I said in my introductions. He is the 1989 World FIM Supercross champion from Pennsylvania in the United States. His name is Mike Jones. Styling and profiling is the boy over the Peter Jackson tabletop. Glenn Bell is second, Phil Sargent is third, Troy Doran is fourth, Ben Paris is fifth, Kim Ashkenazi, followed by Joel Elliott. Troy Doran did not get the start he would have wanted. Unfortunately, the worst of the bunch as far as starts go anyway was Lee Hogan on the Peter Jackson Yamaha, that YZ 250. Lee Hogan, who has won his last 3 Supercross events, did not get the start he would have wanted, and I guess would be back in about 10th place. High flying already. The boys are starting to spread themselves out evenly across the Pines Raceway here at Griffith. The first time we have ventured to the Riverina District as a part of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters. The race leader doing it for Peter Jackson Team Yamaha in his stint in Australia is Mike Jones. Dynamite, they call him that, he certainly is. Glenn Bell is in second, Phil Sargent is under siege. Doran goes the inside, and yes, Troy Doran moves up into third place. Phil Sargent relegated to fourth. Ben Paris, Kim Ashkenazi, Lee Hogan is making his way through the field, as is Joel Elliott. I tell you what though, they're going to have to be very, very quick to catch Mike Jones. We've still got about 18 laps to go, so anything can happen. Dale Britton got an absolute shocker of a start. The best from the West is far from that at the moment. Dale Britton well back in the pack. Jones high flying as well as doing the low stuff really well. Mike Jones, and we've got commentary back. Jones for Peter Jackson Yamaha leads this one. Second place at the moment is Glenn Bell, 9-time national champion on Honda, bike number 6. Bike number 3, Troy the Boy Doran is in third, followed by Ben Paris, Kim Ashkenazi, Lee Hogan, Joel Elliott, Cameron Taylor, 6, Steve Andrews. Stuart Bennett is also in there, and Dale Britton is starting to make his presence felt at the back of the first 10. They are everywhere across the track here at the Pines. A huge crowd on hand as they go down the main straightaway. Should I say down the back straightaway, and look at them go. Dynamite Jones really strutting his stuff out there on the clayway at the moment. And what a race we have in store. 16 laps, I would assume, approximately to go. Mike Jones styling, profiling, strutting and strolling, rocking and rolling, really out front. Glenn Bell has not made a serious challenge to the lead. Started at age 12, and Glenn Bell is really doing it the right way out there at the moment, as Rolf Harris would say. Mike Jones, followed by Glenn Bell. Team Peter Jackson is battling for 4th and 5th. Ashkenazi is up into 3rd. Doran is relegated to 6th. Stephen Andrews, a man very, very quick across the starter jumps, and look at Andrews go. Andrews absolutely electrifying over the starter jumps, and there are riders everywhere at the moment. Mike Jones, it will only be a matter of laps before he's coming up on some of the slower traffic. He goes over the Peter Jackson camel jump one more time. Glenn Bell, bike number 6, MC Mark Team Honda Australia. 3rd place is Ashkenazi. He too will improve as the race goes on. Ben Paris, I don't know. Lee Hogan is also in there. Hogan looks on the inside of Paris. Hey, you think there's team tactics amongst the Peter Jackson boys? Wrong! Look at Lee Hogan go right past Paris. Hogan did not get the start he wanted, but is certainly starting to rocket through the field. He could be the bolter. Let me tell you though, Mike Jones is comfortable. Glenn Bell is in there in second, and those two alone have built up quite a handy lead over Kim Ashkenazi. Jones has lap riders in his side. Jones goes over that double camel jump, as they're calling it. Glenn Bell is in second place. Bell remains in second, is putting up a great battle. Kim Ashkenazi seems to have dropped, well, maybe a couple of lengths in the past couple of laps. Lee Hogan has moved up into fourth position. Ben Parise. Oh, Stephen Andrews is starting to show why they call him airtime. On that Kawasaki bike, number 7, Stephen Andrews is going berserko out there on the Pines Raceway. Watch Andrews across the stutter jumps. Look at him go. Watch out, Ben Parise, because here comes Andrews. Up on the inside, says thank you very much. And Stephen Andrews moves through into position number 3 on the track. Troy Doran starting to fade like the sheep, as is Dale Britton. Dale did not get the start he would have wanted. This is round number 4 of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters, and Mike Jones is really doing it nicely out front. Glenn Bell remains in second. Now Ashkenazi is back on the pace. He's fluctuating like the Aussie dollar, I'll tell you. One lap he's up, one lap he's down. Lee Hogan is the strong runner in the field, as too is bike number 7. Oh, he is MAD. His name is Stephen Andrews, and he is really enjoying his motocross at the moment. The 1989 FIM World Supercross champion is our race leader. He is aboard bike number J, doing it for Peter Jackson Yamaha this weekend. We welcome David Steer from the Philip Morris Company, who is here to watch round number 4 of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters. It is all Jones at the moment. Glenn Bell, though, do not count him out. I said a little earlier on, Bell will improve as the race goes on. Ashkenazi is coming on in leaps and bounds. Oh, Lee Hogan, very lucky to stay aboard the YZ250. Stephen Andrews lucky to stay aboard, should I say, the KX250. Troy Doran back in the pack on the Suzuki. A disappointing night for the Dozza. Phil Sargent, who was right up there with the leaders early on in the race, has faded very much so back, I would assume, probably 10th place. Stuart Bennett there still putting up a fight after a marvellous 3rd place in the 125 final a little earlier on in the night. Young Richie Harmon on bike 23. Mike Jones has hit the deck. Mike Jones, we have a new race leader. Put your hands together, Griffith. Here's our race leader. It's Glenn Bell. Kim Ashkenazi hot to trot in second. Where is Jones? Jones is battling for 3rd place with Lee Hogan at the moment. Teammates here tonight. There will be no team tactics. Stephen Andrews making a hell of a lot of ground up on the rest of the field. Very disappointing for Mike Jones, had a fairly comfortable lead, was looking in control out front, and the 1989 FIM World Supercross Championship is fading back into position number 4. All the action at the moment is between Glenn Bell. They call him Mr. Consistency. This is why. Kim Ashkenazi, Kamikaze Ashkenazi as he's known, is right behind Bell in 2nd place. Ashkenazi knows every move Bell is making. He can smell the fumes coming from Bell's CR250, and given half an opportunity, will jump at the chance to take the lead. That is half race distance, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Pines Raceway in the Riverina District. This is Griffith, this is Supercross, and this is at its best. Lee Hogan is in position 3, Jones is in 4, and Jones does not look to be anywhere near as comfortable as what he was when he was leading the race before the fall. Stephen Andrews is starting to close in on Jones, and that does spell danger for the American. Glenn Bell and Ashkenazi continue to struggle out front. It is a see-sawing battle, to say the least. Honda versus Suzuki. Ashkenazi has a peek up the inside. Oh, Bell high flies past him. Ashkenazi's got the inside line. This is youth versus experience, and the experience certainly got the better of that little altercation. Bell and Ashkenazi come down the main straightaway. I think there is 9 laps remaining in this 20-lap finale here tonight. What a night of racing it has been. Lee Hogan is in 3rd. Mike Jones in 4th, but watch out for the Kawasaki, the Mad Victorian. His name's Stephen Andrew, and he's high flying with the rest, and he's high flying with the best. That really is the big battle at the moment. Ashkenazi is the race leader. What a pass by the young fella. Youth has won over experience, well, thus far anyway. Bike number 5. He is the current 125, 250 and 500cc champion of the country as far as motocross is concerned, and certainly showing here at Griffith that he is no stranger to the tightest Supercross circuits. Ashkenazi leads Bell this time round. The reverse double camel jump. Up over that. That one's brought to you by Peter Jackson. The Team Suzuki is really leading this one. And what a pass. About 1 lap ago it was by Ashkenazi. Glenn Bell in second place. Third place at the moment remains Lee Hogan. What a battle we have between Stephen Andrew and Mike Jones, American versus Victorian. This is at its best, and Andrew is probing. He's waiting for a mistake. I tell you what, I wouldn't wait too long because a world champion very rarely makes a mistake. This is where Andrew is electric. Over the stunner jumps. Oh, I tell you what, how those two didn't collide then, I will never know. Sensational action further back in the pack. Where has our race leader disappeared to? Here he is, I would say 6 to go. Glenn Bell starting to fade. Back in second place. Third place at the moment, Lee Hogan. And he is holding on for grim at the moment. He is waiting in the wings for a podium finish as Mike Jones and Stephen Andrew. Andrew and Jones have been battling for the best part of the last 6 laps, and this is sensational stuff. One will take the advantage, the other will just wipe it straight away. It is neck and neck stuff between these two hombres. Kim Ashkenazi slowly starting to pull away from the veteran and 9-time national champion Glenn Bell. Ashkenazi has had a near faultless night and showing his real true colours out there at the moment. Ashkenazi, bike number 5, as I mentioned a little earlier, he is the 125, 250 and 500cc champion of the country. Aboard that RM 250 cubic centimetre machine, the Yellow Terror they call it, Ashkenazi from the Cronulla district in Sydney South. It's a long way from home for Kamikaze Ashkenazi, but he's treating it like it is his backyard. Very confident, not too cocky, but doing everything as the textbook says you should. That is about the length of it. Third place is Hogan. Fourth place is Andrew. Jones relegated to 5th, and a disappointing night, a disappointing final for Dynamite Jones. The American all the way from Pennsylvania was here for last weekend's round of the Peter Jackson Supercross Masters at the Wavell Showground in Adelaide. Ashkenazi one more time down the main straightaway. This is the period of the race. The fatigue starts to set in. Your bones are aching. Your muscles are tearing. Your mind is saying, let's give it away. Let's park it on the trailer. But the heart is what is ticking. It's saying, come on, let's keep it going. And that is exactly what these boys are doing. It is perhaps one of the most physical sports that you can torture yourself with, for lack of better words, and Stephen Andrews is doing just that. Andrew from Victoria, they call him airtime. It isn't hard to see why. Stephen Andrew likes to spend a bit of time skylarking, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, it's all Andrew, Andrew, Andrew. The race leader is Ashkenazi. Here he comes past this huge crowd at the Pines Raceway in Griffith. What a lead Ashkenazi has built up. And Hogan's the big charger. He's on the hammer of Bell, and this will be quite a battle. Glenn Bell is the current series leader. Lee Hogan is second. These points are vital for these two men. If Hogan can pass Bell, I dare say we will have a new series leader. We will wait and see. The series points, well, that's irrelevant at the moment. These guys are racing for the big dollars put on the line by Peter Jackson and Spokes Promotions. Ashkenazi is the leader, taking it a little easy. He's lapping around the 57-second mark at the moment. At best, these guys can get around low 54s, maybe even the high 53 seconds. Ashkenazi knows exactly where he is, exactly where his competition is, and he doesn't have to do anything stupid in the remaining laps. The laps are dwindling down, and Ashkenazi is doing everything right. Bell and Hogan, and unfortunately this is almost in slow-mo. These two guys are so tired, and if they don't watch out, Stephen Andrew is lurking in the wings. Glenn Bell and Lee Hogan virtually side by side. Oh, they bump wheels, and look at this over the stunner jumps. Hogan on the outside, Bell on the inside. Who is it gonna be? Bell just holds on to that slender lead he has over the third place Hogan. And I tell you what, from out of the clouds, here comes Airtime Andrew. Hogan and Bell side by side. Up over the giant Matterhorn. Hogan is the best of the deal. And Glenn Bell better watch out because Airtime Andrew is waiting for that mistake. Ashkenazi doing it the way the textbook says you should do it. Second place at the moment is Lee Hogan. Andrew and Bell are now side by side. Glenn Bell slowing as the race goes on. The veteran wouldn't like that. And look at Andrew's class with a capital C. Andrew has moved up into third place after an absolute shocker of a start. And I tell you what, Andrew is banging on the door of Lee Hogan for a second place. This is where Andrew is electric. Over the stutter jumps very, very quick. And I tell you what, Lee Hogan better watch his backside, because if Andrew is within striking distance around the stutter jumps, that's where he'll claim his victim. The last lap borders out to Kim Ashkenazi. One more circuit of this tight but exciting Supercross track here at the Pines Raceway in Griffith. Ashkenazi rips yet another tear off the visor into the slide S-bends. Ashkenazi knows he has this one right in his sights. He is waiting for that black and white flag to fall down above the RM250 Suzuki. In second place is Hogan. At this stage, I think he will hold it. Andrew's a little bit too far away to strike in the stutter jumps. We'll see what Andrew does. Very, very quick, but too far behind. Our race leader has about 150 metres to negotiate before collecting the checkered flag. Folks here at Griffith, we'd like you to stand. Put your hands together. What a ride. What a kid. Kim Ashkenazi. Sensational stuff from Kamikaze.
Well, Kim, you certainly worked very hard for that one. A satisfying win.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's the first Supercross win I've had, and has been a long time coming. But hey, you know, I mean, that's life. I've had a lot of bad luck in races being gone past, but at last I pulled off a win.
Has it been a difficult transition from motocross to Supercross?
No, not really. A lot of people bag me saying I'm not a Supercross rider, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a lot of crap. It's just I've had bad luck, you know, as simple as that. And the brakes haven't gone my way, but tonight the brakes did go my way, and I rode hard and I pulled off a win.